every home my wife and I have bought has been a new construction home. And I've helped hundreds of people buy new construction homes. So when it comes to thinking about some things, like if I was reflecting back and saying, hey, I might have done this differently here, I have a couple tools and a couple tips that I would like to give you as just kind of a framework and say, hey, if we were doing this again, here's some things that I would think about differently. Here's some things I would approach differently. And hopefully this helps you as you're potentially getting ready to either buy from a builder's inventory or build from the ground up with a builder here in DFW. If we haven't met before, my name is Zach. My team and I, we sell new construction real estate. That's pretty much all we do. So if you have questions or you need help, please reach out. Be honored to answer those for you and be a resource any way we can. So the first thing I would do, because I feel like a lot of times people have this feeling of like, sometimes they end up buying before they're ready, or they wait too long and then, things change, right? And I don't want you to have any sort of regrets when you go through this process. I want this to be a smooth process and remove as much tension as I possibly can. So the first thing I would do differently would be I would stop over shopping, and I would choose the right area and the right neighborhood faster. I think what we tend to do, and I tend to be the same way. We're very data driven, and we have this idea that we just have to always compare, and we have to I have to see absolutely everything before I can ever make a decision. And like, well, what about this? And well, what about that? And what about this? And all of these things. And you try so hard to you optimize all of these things. And then pretty soon it all just starts to bleed together. And there's no sense of okay, well, if I don't make this decision, if I keep going, there's always going to be something else. There's always going to be something more. And I would try my best to not do this. And I will say this is probably really, really hard if you're moving from out of state and you don't know where it is you want to be, right? So we have phone calls or Zoom calls with people all the time. Like, Zach, we're moving to Dallas. And we're not sure if we want, Justin, or we want Rockwall, or we want, Salina or Waxahachie. And we're like all sorts of these things that are those are all very, very, very different areas with very different feels, and commuting across one or the other, less than ideal, right? So I would hone in first on the area I wanted to be in, and then I would limit my search to just neighborhoods within that particular area. And I would try and stop my over shopping on every single thing, but because if I don't, I might miss out on something later on down the road. And the only way I really know how to set this expectation is from a sports perspective, right? I always try and think of it hey, we're going to play 1v1 and it's tournament style, and one of them has to win and one of them has to lose. And when they lose, they're never talked about or they're never remembered again, right? So if it comes to, hey, we're looking at two neighborhoods. Okay, well, I'm looking at, Sonoma Verde in Heath, and I'm looking at Montera in Fate. Okay, well, I'm comparing the two neighborhoods I'm shopping against, price point, tax rate, builders, amenities, location. Okay, now one of those wins, and now the loser, we have a moment of silence, and then we never talk about it ever again, because you can't keep running back to it, because at some point it's all going to blend together and you're going to run yourself insane. And so, okay, so now that one wins and it moves on to the next round. Okay, now it's let's say it's Montera versus Hillstead. Okay, well, same comparison. One of them wins, one of them loses. And at some point, the idea of this over shopping is going to erode your confidence, right? And I want you to find the right momentum, and I want you to find the right pace. And this is something I wish we would have done a little bit better, is we would have honed in on the right area and the right neighborhood first, and then, limited our decision making to those particular areas. Because I think if you're trying to shop and shop and shop to avoid deciding, then that's probably an indication that you may not be ready to pull the trigger and make this decision. Second thing we would do differently, and I would hope that I could help you avoid, is we would care less about what's coming next and more about what's working now. And here's what I mean by that. There's always going to be a new development. There's always going to be a next community. There's always going to be something more coming, like a new phase, a new builder, future amenities, all of those things. And at some point, if I'm so focused on what's coming, I miss all of the greatness that's right in front of me. Now, yes, I do want to care about the upcoming grocery stores, or I want to care about the upcoming amenities or commercial stuff, or the new school that's about to open. Yes, I want to know about those things, but I can't look at something and be like, oh, I really wonder what's going to be there in 5 years. And if I just wait for 5 years, because if you're so focused on the future, you miss kind of what's right in front of you. Other thing I think that is important when we start looking at what's now and what works for our family is I just need you to be honest and say, hey, this is probably not a forever home. We may think it is, and it may have everything that we want in it, and it could be the perfect thing, and we love everything about it. But then jobs change, kids grow up, you add kids, anything could happen. And this idea of, hey, what's going to hold in the future? I need you to focus so much on what we get right now. Does it fit for our lifestyle? Does it fit for, hey, where we want to drive to and from to work? Does it fit the way we want to live our lives? Do we fit within the community? Does the values that the community reflects, do those reflect our values? Does the demographic of the community reflect our values? Are we close to a church that we want to be a part of? Do we have restaurants close by? Do we have our favorite grocery store? All of those things are so much more important than like, oh, there might be this new thing coming someday, right? So I think you have to, it's this idea, I want you to make decisions. I wish we would have made decisions on like, hey, what works best for right now? Yes, we have to have an eye for the future. And yes, we have to have an eye for growth. And yes, all of those things, but I can't keep waiting forever, because if I wait forever, I will never make a decision. And those futures are just a promise thing. They're nothing that is absolute, right? Okay, different thing number 3. Now, before I get here, I want to tell you, if you're starting this process and you're trying to figure out like, hey, let me figure out like what is next for us? Like, where are we going? But you're not ready to have a conversation yet. I totally get that. What we built our website that shows you all the builders, all the floor plans, all the communities, all that stuff. You don't have to browse on resale stuff, Zillow, Realtor, stuff like that. You can scan the QR code or check the link in the description and just start browsing. I promise we're not gonna, spam you. We're not gonna blow up your email. It's a resource for you. And then when you're ready, we can have a conversation about kind of what's next and how you want to proceed forward. So third thing I would do differently is, and this is probably gonna be the hardest one to talk through because this involves your money. And I would say if I was doing this again, and we did just recently do this, is I would reset my expectations around my equity and my timing, right? So for example, everybody saw what happened in the real estate market in 2020, 21, and 22. Pricing went ridiculous, right? And we saw people, and you probably have friends that bought homes and then sold them 18 to 24 months later and made 6 figures in profit. I need to tell you that it is not normal. We thought we were going to do the same thing. We built a home in 2020, and then we watched the market rise like crazy. It's like, oh, well, we could totally sell and make almost, 6 figures on this deal. But then it's like, well, where do we go and what would we do? And now it's like, well, let's tamper that back down. Those expectations have come back down to earth, right? So if you're looking for this as a quick exit, that is probably not the play. If you're thinking, hey, we're going to get in at the first phase and there's going to be 7 phases and we're going to sell like in the middle of all the builders selling, you're probably going to have a difficult time. Now, is the over the course of 5, 7, 10, 15 years, is the home going to appreciate? I would say yes, probably so, because we've seen statistically over time that like real estate appreciates, right? Especially in a place like DFW, and especially when you're buying in some of the hot growth areas where we're seeing continued growth and expansion. I feel like I said growth a lot. Where we're seeing continued movement and expansion. Now, should you expect to buy a home for $400,000, live in it for 2 years, and sell it for $700,000 without doing anything to it? You should probably not. And that is an anomaly. That is a unicorn. Those don't normally happen. So equity takes time. And I feel like as we did this again, we just built last year again in 2025. And so, we're here for the long haul. Well, maybe we'll see. Because it's kind of that weird dynamic where my wife lived in one house her entire life until she left for college. I had the weird experience of like my parents were divorced. So one side, my mom, like they lived in one house my entire life. And then my dad like moved every 6 to 8 to 10 months. So I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just move all the time. And I had to reset that expectation. We're like, you're not going to move and make money really, really quick. And if you're thinking you're going to do that, you think you need a quick exit, you're not ready. You need to look at something different. This is not the time for you. Number 4, thing that I would do differently. So after I have found the area and I found the communities I wanted to look at, I would seriously consider putting more weight on build quality and standard features and just the whole process of choosing a builder, right? So many people get into this and they get so payment focused. Listen, I totally understand, but sometimes focusing so much on the most affordable option isn't the best option long term, right? So I would spend more time asking questions about quality. I would spend more time asking questions about warranty. I would spend more time asking questions about standard features. What is it like to work through that process with the builder? Who do we like? Who do we not like? Who do they partner with? Who are they in the neighborhoods with? Who are they like? What's it going to cost me to do upgrades? I think I would ask more of those questions and get a better understanding of quality, right? So I will tell you from our experience. Yeah, we bought 4 homes together, all of them brand new. The first one was out of state, was not in Texas. We were in a different market. We moved away and then we moved back. But the first 2 were the same builder. They were a big national builder. I don't have to say their name. They probably sell more homes than any other builder in America. You could Google it, you could figure it out. That was our first 2. The first one we bought as an inventory home, and for what it was fine. We didn't have any issues. We didn't know any better at that time, right? The second time we bought from them it was kind of a unique situation. So we moved back to Texas. We were living with my in-laws. They were great. If you've ever moved back in with your in-laws or your parents, as great as they are, sometimes you're like, we just got to go. And so we kind of made a decision in haste and bought a house again that if we would have done a little bit more research, probably wouldn't have bought, right? Just knowing what I know. But we were so focused on changing our situation and buying something quickly. Like that was kind of what we did. Should have done some more research. It's fine. Our third and our fourth house we bought, we definitely spent some more time working through that process, working through that research, asking questions. Again, it helps that I kind of live in this industry and do this for a living and know what I was looking for. But I would strongly recommend when we do this again, or if we ever do this again, hey, that's going to be a big piece of this, right? I'm going to find the builder that we like, the quality that we like, and we're going to fit that into the location that we want to be in. And then outside of that, so this goes beyond comparing pricing and incentives, right? If you're the pricing is important, the incentives are important, absolutely. But beyond that, you may find that the least expensive home or the least expensive might cost you more in the long run based on warranty claims or based on just quality or based on resale. So all of those things factor together, and I would put more weight on that. And so if you're curious, we talk a lot about the builders on our channel. I'm pretty much an open book on who we like and who we care for, and you can find all the detail. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments down below. Happy to tell you, hey, here's based on our experience with who we've sold with and what we like about their process or what we may not like, or my job, again, I don't have to live in your house. I don't have to make your mortgage payment. But at the end of the day, I do want you to live in something that makes sense. I want you to live in something that you feel comfortable in, that you've not been pressured into buying. And ultimately, I wouldn't recommend something to you that I wouldn't feel comfortable with my wife and my soon-to-be baby being born, living in. So that's kind of my stance on that. I can tell you who we do a lot of business with and who their quality is really good with, who we built with, and experiences from that end. So put some weight on that. Two more. You've stuck with me this long. And so number 5 thing I would do different, and I think this kind of circles back to 1 in some ways, is, hey, I would commit sooner once we knew, instead of trying to chase the perfect deal, right? We get into this point where we can over optimize and over analyze and overthink. And it's like, oh, well, this person did this and this person did this. And it's like, well, what makes sense for you? And ultimately this kind of comes back to hey, I want you to love the house, because I can do a really good job of putting together a deal that makes sense for you. But if I put together a deal, or you put together a deal on a home that you don't like, or the location doesn't make sense, the deal doesn't matter. Right. So I would, work through my feelings of hey, this is the house. When we know, and we go say yes to it. And then we negotiate strategically. Right. So the certainty on our end is what creates our leverage. When we create that hesitation, that's where we kind of find ourselves in a little bit of regret. So certainty of saying, hey, I like this house. Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do that? Yes, 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 yes. Here we go. Let's go make it happen. And when you're ready, this process can move really, really quickly, right? It can go from hey, we're not doing anything to oh my gosh, we're buying a house very quickly, or oh my gosh, we just made a decision to build a house like that, right? And so when you know, we can use that as to our leverage and like use that certainty and hey, let's move forward and let's make this happen. So I would stop chasing the perfect deal because the perfect deal doesn't exist. I would get what I could when I could. And I'm telling you that from the standpoint of like, we have put together, I mean, last year alone, we hit almost, and I track it, we hit almost 7 figures in incentive dollars. So price reductions, closing costs, rate buy downs, all of things, almost 7 figures, almost $1 million back in our clients' pockets to help save them money. So there's money out there to get, right? And the goal this year is we're going to exceed 7 figures. That is my goal personally, and we want to make that happen for you guys. But again, I can do all of those things, but if the house doesn't work, or I would so much rather the house be right, and then let's make everything else make sense, right? Because you're never going to find the perfect. It's all like, and again, I say that as a numbers person, as somebody who loves data. Like at some point you get overwhelmed, and when you're ready, you have to be able to commit. All right, last one, and this is more of a everything else has been like a mental kind of thing. This is more of a very tactile thing, and I would say the thing that I would do differently, number 6, if I was buying a brand new home, is I would be really mentally prepared for the first year instead of trying to be surprised by it. Here's what I mean. At some point, you close on the home, you're excited, you move in, and like eventually the excitement kind of wears off. And what nobody tells you is that the excitement's going to wear off. And then you have the lived oh my gosh, we literally just spent this crazy amount of money for this house, and we're going to pay for this for the next 30 years if we stay here. And it's a lot. And then on top of that, like you bought in a neighborhood. So like, even though you bought like us, you buy in a neighborhood where there's still lots available around us. And it's okay. Well, now there's construction happening, and it's like, well, I wish we had a neighbor. And it's like, we don't have a neighbor. And then we're waiting on them to show up. And when in our last house, we had an instance where they were out there at 5 a.m. in the middle of the summer pouring concrete, and it was loud and it was annoying. And it's like, are you freaking serious? We had recently, so this is a funny story. Cross the street, porta potty, because they're building a house, whatever. Porta potty there. Wind blows through, blows the porta potty over. Well, the porta potty is full of, and now there's like all over our street, and it smelled awful. Like, oh my God, awful. Nobody tells you that. It's going to happen. Nobody tells you you're probably going to need to get a warranty card at Discount Tire because you're going to end up with nails in your tire. Nobody tells you that, hey, it's like your house is going to settle. Your house is you're going to have nail pops. You're going to have small like cracks in your drywall. Now, if it starts running its own roadmap, that's a different issue. But like, I'm sitting in my office and I'm like, I can see on my wall in the corner right there, I have a little small drywall crack that I need to get up there and put some caulk into and then paint over the top of it. It happens as our clay soil settles because our soil is less than ideal. The nail pops are going to happen. New will never, ever, ever in the new home space mean perfect. It will just mean new. And there are issues and there are growing pains that come with that. And as much as the builder can test and simulate everything is to work and be perfect and work the way it's supposed to, they can't simulate a lived experience. And so that's why they give you a warranty, right? The other thing, as we're talking about the first year, every builder's warranty process sucks. Some of them suck a little less, but every one of them sucks. And you want to find the ones that kind of suck a little less, right? Because at the end of the day, it is still warranty. Like you're still going to have to go through the process. It's just not ideal. And nobody really talks about that idea of, hey, let me prepare myself for this. Like, hey, I'm buying in a neighborhood that we don't even know who's here yet. Like we have all these things going on. And then let me be super honest with you. You're coming from out of state, which is a lot of our clients. We did that. We moved to Phoenix. We lived there for 3 years. I remember what it was like to move there and not know anybody. I remember what it was like to be like, okay, well, you're telling me to go here, but I don't know where that is, or I don't know what that means. And having to learn the new, the cultural norms and my new favorite restaurants and grocery stores and people, like it's a very hard dynamic. And oh, hey, we got to find a church and we got to find a baseball team for our kids to be a part of. I get it. So much goes into that. And I wish I would have been mentally prepared for the first year, because as much as we love our new house, it takes a little bit for it to feel like home. And it will eventually feel like home, but I wish I would have been more mentally prepared for that. So 4 questions to wrap this up to kind of help you work through this dynamic and work through this process to actually know if you're ready to make this decision to buy or build here in DFW. Number 1, can I explain why this location works for my daily life? Can I say, hey, you know what? We're close to friends or we're close to family. It makes my commute to work great. My kids love their schools. We found a church that really plugs into us. We want to be part of this community. Can I explain and can I articulate why I chose this location for my daily living? Because I think that's really, really important. Number 2, am I okay with the trade-offs that I understand? That I already know, that I'm already aware of? Hey, am I okay that we don't have an amenity center yet, but they're building it, right? Am I okay that the road in front of my neighborhood is kind of under construction and I think it's going to be done eventually? Am I okay that, hey, this is going to cost me this much in tolls? Like, with everything that I understand and the trade-offs that I'm making, because there's never going to be something that is absolutely perfect if we're honest. Am I okay with what I already understand? Can I live with these things? Number 3, can I move forward without needing perfection? Hey, I had 10 boxes I needed to check. I checked 8 of them. Are we good to go? I don't know. Hey, I really need 9. Hey, whatever. Can I move forward without having can I move forward without having looked at every single home in a single market without making a decision? Can I move forward with hey, this house fits with our life right now? Can I do that without needing absolute perfection? And if the answer is no, then you're not ready. If the answer is yes, then let's go. And then number 4, do I feel clear? Not rushed, not stuck, but do I feel clear about the decision that I'm making? And if you can work through those 4 frameworks with some of these tools, that will help you in this process, because I get it. It's a lot. There's so much that has to happen in this process, whether it's an inventory home or it's a ground up build. Like, you've got to work through all of those things. Readiness, this is where we find our confidence and this is where we find our clarity. And once we have clarity, we can proceed forward and execute on what we have to do. So here's the thing. Most of our people, when we have conversations, yes, they're excited and they know they have to do this thing. But excitement is not what causes people to reach out. It's the need for clarity. And my hope is that I can have a conversation with you one-to-one and we can talk about how to find that clarity and that next step. Maybe the clarity is, hey, we need to understand a budget and talk about a payment. Okay, let's do that. Hey, Zach, we need to understand what builders you would recommend. Okay, let's do that. Hey, we want to know, should we build or should we buy an inventory home? Okay. Hey, the clarity is, hey, we know we have to come to Dallas. We know we have to be in Rockwall. We just don't know which community, but we know we need to be there in the next 60 days. Okay, I can provide clarity on that, right? And so if you're planning this move, or if you're here and you're like, hey, new construction's on our list, let's have a conversation. If you're coming to DFW, right, and you need some clarity and you need some help, let's have a conversation. My email, my text, all right there at the bottom. You can book some time on my calendar. We can be on Zoom. Whatever you need, I'm here to help. Buying a new home, buying a brand new home can be a great decision. It just works best when your timing, your expectations, and your clarity all line up. Those are things I would do differently. And if I was helping you as a buyer, that's how I would advise you. So appreciate your time. We'll see you guys in our next video.